Now, Nioh 3 is the culmination of everything Team Ninja has been building towards since 2017, as it combines every element from every single release to give something truly grand. But in the process of doing so, I feel like we have lost some things that were truly special, and the biggest and most important one is the boss design from Nioh 2. In Nioh 3, options is the name of the game. You have frankly way too many things that you can pull off in any combat encounter, and honestly, that makes the enemy to enemy combat really fun to experiment with, even if it ultimately makes them a bit too easy. Still fun though, but that does not truly translate for the bosses, however. Now, I am someone who is just adept at these games. I do not have 1,000 hours in Nioh 2, more like 10% of that, and even lesser still for Nioh 3, but I feel like I have a good understanding on how bosses in these games work, because you kind of need to in order to survive these fights, especially as someone who doesn't really care much for the build crafting aspect of this game, and just uses select best equipment option to move along. Anyways, mastering Nioh 2 bosses usually entails using 4 core pillars of defense, and those are block, dodge, positioning, and burst counters. And for offense, you need to find the perfect opportunity to strike, and when you do find it, use the 3 stances and flux between them to get the most amount of damage off and the most amount of ki back. That requires knowledge of the boss's moveset as a whole, and not just knowledge of the timing of their moveset. For example, in something like Lies of P, where most of you do is stand in one place, parry, and then Fable Art. No, Nioh 2 bosses are way more intense in how they use this intricate combat design, and how they can thwart you using those mechanics in unique ways, which truly makes them special. Now, Nioh 3 on the other hand makes your character like an actual bloody powerhouse, as in ninja style you are given an extremely powerful dodge with which you can cancel out of attacks almost instantly compared to samurai dodge, and it even gets your ki back if you time it well enough, and will almost always land you behind the boss if you dodge properly. And for the samurai style, you have parry. Now, in order to balance all this, the game decided to overtune the bosses, so they're just a lot more aggressive and spammy, meaning for a lot of fights, you can't just play like you would in Nioh 2, you really have to commit to either parrying or dodging, and if you don't, and trust me, I tried, you will not have a fun time. Like, try that shit with Ibaraki Doji. Not gonna say it's impossible, but it's not gonna be fun. Now, this isn't the case for every single boss, because I did beat quite a few of them only using samurai and not deflecting at all, but those are exceptions, and I was practically nerfing myself from first trying them by doing so, and even still first trying some huge fights like Minamoto no Yoritomo. Usually for the harder bosses, my strategy was using ninja to delete their keybar and then spamming combos with samurai to maximize damage, alongside using spirit skills whenever my ki got depleted to get a whole ass refill and get back in the fight because they are broken. And I didn't deflect at all because I'm done with deflecting in Souls-likes, cause holy. Talking about hard bosses, it is quite unfortunate that the hardest boss from this game for me was Kunimatsu, which took me about 40 minutes, and I don't even have to say anything. If you fought him, you realize this dude literally just does not give you many upper opportunities to attack in the second phase. Like, bro just does not flinch if you hit him after most of his attacks, which meant that even though he was hard, he wasn't fun. Whereas in Nioh 2, it was someone like Otakemaru, which is one of my favorite boss fights of all time and really tested my game skills, instead of my patience. Now, I could very well be a bit wrong about all this, but I can say for a fact that this next aspect of these bosses is objectively flawed, and that is the over-designed nature of them, aesthetically speaking. This is something that comes from Wolong, in my opinion, and while not only do a lot of bosses just look plain uninteresting and samey, the over-designed nature of them makes it pretty hard to properly perceive what they're doing. Like, this dude straight up had red steam coming out of him in the yokai phase. That straight up just masks burst counters. Whoever thought of this, fucking fire them. And well, that's all I had to say. fact is, this video will ruffle some feathers because all I hear about Nioh 3 is absolute praise. And honestly, even I love this game, and generally I feel like if the combat system remained the same, then there wouldn't really be much of an X factor that this game would have over the other games, especially Nioh 2. Like, this game's whole thing is that it has everything that Team Ninja had learned over the years, and even though it can be detrimental in certain aspects, like the bosses and difficulty, the combat by far, hands down, is the best in the series. And honestly, this game has one of the best combat systems of all time, but I truly do believe that Team Ninja should stop at Nioh 3 with this Souls-like formula, because there is nowhere left to go after this point. I already felt that Nioh 2 was the perfect finale, but I don't mind Nioh 3 because I still love these games, but this needs to stop. Team Ninja needs to try out a new venture which innovates not only in terms of combat but also art design, because even though these games have a unique art style, it is getting way too played out at this point and just becoming boring, so I hope they bring change. And I know they can, because they did so going from Ninja Gaiden to Nioh, and now they must do it again. But with that being said, I'm still probably gonna buy Nioh 4.